The Ring.
Hey there, welcome to Board Game Barrister, our local game shop in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It is Tuesday, which means we just got to play a game, and today we played Blockbuster, an awesome movie game where you're quoting and acting movies from history and trying to get your team to guess which ones you're doing. I am here with my fellow barristers, Ian, Glenn, and Elizabeth, and we're going to tell you everything we liked about the game, who we think it's great for, but before we do that, we are going to talk about how the game plays for a second. Welcome to Blockbuster, the party game. To start this game, we're going to split into two teams, and the first team that can collect one of each of the different genres of movie is going to win. The game is split into rounds, and each round has two parts. The first part of which is the head-to-head. Each team is going to choose one player to represent them in that head-to-head. Then we're going to flip over a head-to-head category card, like movies set in New York, and those players are going to take turns hitting the buzzer and naming a movie that fits that category. The first player who's not able to do that within their 15 seconds before the buzzer goes off is the loser for the head-to-head, which means the other player wins. Now, winning the head-to-head is important because it's going to give you an advantage in the second part of the round, the movie phase. In the movie phase, the player who won the head-to-head is going to look at the top 6 cards in the movie deck, choose 3 to keep for themselves, and then hand 3 to the player they defeated. Those two players will now place their movies down on the movie board in the clue types that they want to give for those movies. One of them, they will act out in charade-style silent acting. One of them, they get to give a quote from, and one of them, they can only say a single word. Then each of those players gets 30 seconds on the timer to try to get their team to guess all 3 of their movies, and if they can pull that off and have time remaining, they can move over to their opponent's side of the board and start stealing their movies as well.
I think what makes this game fun is the getting to do goofy things with your friends and watching and laughing them act things out, quote things incorrectly, and ultimately just kind of fumble is the funny part. It's one of those games where failing is just as funny and as cool as successfully getting the cards right.
I think something else that would make this fun is I think this could turn into other activities, because also I can go, you've never seen Blade Runner? Oh man, you would love that movie. If you're playing with your friends, you know what they like, and if they haven't seen something, you can go right into that. Or silently judge them in some ways. You've never seen It's a Wonderful Life? No, I have not. No, I have not.
I haven't seen it.
And I think that the head-to-head aspect too is super fun too, because there's always, at least with my friends, because my friends are all big movie buffs, is that being able to one-up your friend on that knowledge of that thing. With my friends, this would take 30 minutes a card, probably.
Yeah.
Movies with theme songs, and you have to sing them.
Yes.
Ba-da-da-da-da, Inspector Gadget.
Yes.
Somewhere over the rainbow.
So the Blockbuster Party game is not actually a trivia game. It's not question and answer, but it's a guessing game. And so it's really fun to try and have like this limitation of what you can and can't do and what you can and can't say. It's not just give me any clue for Dracula. It's can you act out Dracula? And so that limitation makes it feel like really fun because you can't get it perfectly.
My favorite mechanic was the steal mechanic. There's actually 2 of them in the game. The first one is during the round, if you get all 3 of your cards before the timer runs out, you can steal the opponent's cards off of their side of the board. And then, once you've got all your cards acquired, you can trade in any 3 of one color for a color that maybe your team is not doing the greatest at. And that lets you build either take away the 1 pink card that's on the table, or it lets you slow down your opponent who might be ahead of you in their plethora of different genres they have locked in.
If your team is really great about guessing comedy movies, but is terrible about classics or about dramas, then somehow you're either going to have to find someone who can get that drama card for your team, or you're going to have to use that steal mechanic to try to grab one from the other team. I also really liked the way that the actual movie cards get put down onto the quoting and acting board. You choose which of those you want to give one word for, which one you want to quote, and which one you want to act. So in theory, in 2 totally different games, you could be acting out a movie that you quoted last game. So this creates a lot of replayability for this one, where every time you sit back down to the table, you might see some of the same movie cards, but it might be totally different teams guessing, and you might be doing something totally different to direct your team toward them.
Merry Christmas, movie house!
That is, of course, It's a Wonderful Life.
So I think one thing to watch out with this game is a lot of the movies in here are going to be movies that came out 20 or more years ago. I mean, that's obviously it's Blockbuster, so it's going to be movies that would have been at a Blockbuster. So you're not going to find movies the last couple of years are not going to be in here. Who you play with, I think, in that regards, is something you want to pay attention to because it's going to appeal to a thinner slice of your party game population than a regular open topic type game would.
Yeah. So I'll admit, when we were playing with 4 today, it makes the game really dependent on your one partner connecting with the one quote or scene that you're acting out from the movie that you are working on. We think once you'd get to 6 players, it would start to really hit, and the gears would be working really well. And probably all the way up to 10, just so everyone had a chance to play. We wouldn't want to go much higher than that, but like 6 to 10 players. 8's really the sweet spot we feel like we're landing on for this one. So ideal for 8, really solid for 6 to 10.
I think with a larger group, you could flip the head-to-head card over, which will give you something like movies with a dog, and then you can choose who you want to be your head-to-head person and send them up there like a game show versus their best dog movie watcher on their team. And I think that would make a really cool variant for the larger groups, and you can cheer on your one person in the head-to-head, and then that person can either do the acting, the quoting, and what have you, or then you could pick somebody else to do the acting, quoting, and what have you, which I think would make it a very versatile game for people who like to put themselves out there and be the showman, people who have a lot of wealth of knowledge of specific topics for the head-to-head version, or people who maybe want to sit back a little and just be guessers during the rounds, which is a fine thing to do in all of those aspects.
Based on the assortment of films that you do find in the deck here, this game is going to be amazing for everyone who actually did have the hobby of going to the Blockbuster, and that was a thing that you did.
Yeah, and they knew this when they were designing the game and which films they were putting in, because they just went for the nostalgia angle as hard as they could. So if this makes you feel feelings, then it's for you probably, because you know what the VHS box from a Blockbuster looked like, and they designed it to be exactly like that box. The back of the board is a VHS, I believe, right? Yeah, you've got the tape there.
If you know what Be Kind, Rewind means, this game is for you.
Yeah.
True.
If this is what your babysitter looked like, this game is for you.
Great. Well, I think that about does it for our initial impressions of our first ever game of Blockbuster the Party Game. That was a great time. We had a good time talking about movies and making fools of ourselves while we played. If this is your first time at the channel and you want to see more videos like this, hit that subscribe button. You'll get to see us every week. And if you hit the like and comment, that's awesome as well. Thank you so much for joining us this week, and we will see you next Tuesday. Bye.